Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another video on the channel where today we have got the most meta centre backs in FIFA 20. So if you do enjoy this little series and you do want to see more, make sure you do drop a thumbs up on the video if you do find it useful, and hit that subscribe button as well if you are new to the channel. But as always, we're going to start off with a little quick definition of meta for those that maybe this is their first video and they haven't seen the previous ones. So meta is basically the most effective tactics available and the best players that really suit the game style this year. So for example, for the attackers, those kind of like really tricky, quick sort of strikers are the meta this year in FIFA. So that's what we define meta as. But going into our top 5 centre-backs, number 5 we have gone for Lucas Hernandez. This guy is a beast. He's so good. He's not someone that maybe you don't see too much anymore, or me personally when I play I don't see him too much anymore because I think people have moved on to some of the people that are a little bit higher up in this list. But at the beginning of the game, and there are some people that still do use this Lucas Hernandez, he is extremely good, and I think the thing that stands out most of this Lucas Hernandez is his pace. He's so fast, that recovery pace. Anytime he gets out of position, which isn't very often, he does hold a good position despite his high attacking work rate, which is a little bit of a disadvantage. He does still have pretty good positioning, but even when he does, he's got such pace to be able to get in behind. And if you do have the right chem style on him, which I recommend probably using a shadow, maybe an anchor, but if you do want to give him like extreme pace, put his pace up to like 91, 92, you give him a shadow and he's so fast. You know, he's able to keep up with the quickest players in the game. You know, and even some of those really quick, tricky players, even if they're getting behind, he has the pace to catch up. He's still going to have the strength to outpace someone like a Mertens or someone like that, even though his strength for a centre back, which is again another disadvantage, is a little bit low. You know, his strength being only I think like 75, 76, he's still able to outstrength the majority of attackers, because most attackers, you know, those sort of quick, tricky wingers aren't the strongest, so he's still able to outstrength them. But Lucas Hernandez is an incredibly good card, very easy to link up, and is number 5 on this list. Number 4, I've gone for Eder Militao. This guy is a monster. You know, he's kind of like the Chris Smalling from, like, was it FIFA 17 when Chris Smalling was incredible, or Eric Bailly in previous years, you know, or David Luiz. This Militao is kind of that really cheap, overpowered centre back. Someone like Joe Gomez, you could put into that category as well, but Militao is so good. Medium high work rates is perfect. So easy to link into teams, being Brazilian, which is great. Real Madrid, you can link him up with someone like Raphael Varane or Courtois. You know, there's lots of players you can link him up to. High stamina as well, which is really important for a centre back. You know, 88 stamina means that he's not going to get gassed late on. So even if a guy brings on some super subs, Militao will still have the stamina to be able to kind of cope with that barrage later on in the game. You know, good jumping, aggression, and interceptions. Again, like Lucas Hernandez, very quick, got really good recovery pace, especially with the shadow. I think his pace goes up to 90. He's got very good sprint speed as well, so he's able to really get back in position. But because of his medium-high work rates, he typically does stay in position too much. He doesn't venture too far up the field, so it is difficult to get in behind him. Obviously not impossible, you know, but he does still do very well. The only disadvantage with Militao, he's got really low short passing. I think his short passing is like in the 60s. His composure isn't the best as well compared to some of the higher centre backs that you'll see in this list. Again, not the strongest for a centre back. You know, centre backs, the ideal centre back, you want them to have Militao's pace, but maybe a little bit better short passing, composure, and strength. His strength isn't the best, but overall for an 81 rated card that's only around 4,000 coins, this Militao card is incredible. Up at number 3, we've gone for Raphael Varane. This guy is, again, one of the best centre-backs in the game this year, especially one of the best gold centre-backs like last year. I just think, again, that pace, 83 pace, is so fast. You know, with a shadow, I think he's like 94 pace, which is ridiculous. At that point, he's able to keep up with practically any player in the game. You know, again, medium-high work rates, which is exactly what you want on a centre-back. You want him to have that high defensive work rate, which is perfect. 87 defensive awareness, very high sprint speed, as we say, very high strength as well, 86 strength, which is pretty good. So even though he's got the pace to be able to keep up with some of the quickest players in the game, he's obviously got the strength to be able to bully them out of the way as well. He's very good one-on-one, very difficult to beat because of that pace and strength. You know, easy to link up, very good position because of those work rates. As I said, rapid pace. You know, and the only disadvantage with this Varane is he's got 38 balance. So, you know, his turning is really slow. You know, he can sometimes feel a little bit heavy because of that lack of balance. But, you know, balance is not it's not the be all and end all for centre backs, because most centre backs do have low balance and agility. But certainly 38 balance is extremely low, so that would be the only negative with Varane. But other than that, he's an incredible card. Number 2 on this list, we have gone for Clement Lenglet. Now this guy this year. Who would have thought this guy would have been so good at the beginning of this year? You know, I think we all thought he was going to be, you know, a very good centre-back, but he's turned out to be arguably the best cheap, quote-unquote, centre-back, which is not really cheap because he's still around 90,000 coins, but, you know, he's not sort of icon money or anything like that, you know, but he's incredible. 4-star weak foot, 90 defensive awareness, amazing interceptions, jumping and reactions, medium-high work rate, again, which is exactly what you want on a centre-back, and especially you want your two centre-backs really to have the same work rates. Easy to link up, obviously gets that perfect link with Ter Stegen and Semedo we've been talking about. You know, I personally have had this Lenglet. I've played about 200 games with him. He's absolutely phenomenal. Incredibly good one-on-one. His positioning is perfect. He's very good at cutting the passing lanes. He doesn't really lose too many one-on-ones. As I said, he's good in the air. He wins a lot of headers. Again, the only slight disadvantage with Lenglet, you could say, maybe his agility and balance is a little bit low. I think it's in the low 60s, which is not ideal, but as I said, not the end of the world, because most centre-backs don't have high agility and balance. You know, you're not going to come across too many centre-backs that have got like 80 agility and balance, unless it's someone like a Cannavaro, who is quite a short centre-back, but that in itself has its own issues. But again, the best cam style for him is of course going to be a shadow, because you want to ramp up that pace to try and compete with some of the pacey strikers that are in this game. But Lenglet is an incredible centre-back, and I think at this stage in FIFA he's a must-have in your team. And then at number one, it has to be Virgil van Dijk, man. Again, I'm fortunate enough to own this card, and it is a game changer. Van Dijk is just like a cheat code in this game, you know. I think the combination of his pace, his defending, and just that physicality, I think what sets Van Dijk apart from the other centre-backs in this list is his strength. He's as quick as some of these players. You know, he's not as quick as, for example, like a Raphael Varane, but what he lacks in a slight little bit of negative in pace, he makes up for in bucket loads in strength. This guy is like impossible to beat one-on-one. He's so powerful, easy to link up. He is a rock at the back. Very rarely does anybody, you know, a bit like he plays very much like he does in real life. He's practically impossible to get beyond, you know, trying to take him one-on-one. He pretty much wins every tackle. He's incredible in the air. He just has no flaws, you know. I think the only disadvantages I gave him, as you can see, agility and balance again, but it's not really much of a disadvantage, because most centre-backs, as I said, don't have high agility and balance. And I've played, again, 80 or 90 games with this Van Dijk, and I do not notice his lack of agility and balance. So it's hardly really a disadvantage. It's me really nitpicking more than anything. But this Van Dijk really just is pretty much flawless. He doesn't have any problems. And he's, again, as you get more and more coins, he's somebody that you're going to see more and more in people's teams. And that's when you're going to need even better strikers to try and cope with this Van Dijk. But at the minute, this Van Dijk is practically unplayable. And then to finish up with a icon choice, I've gone for Carlos Puyol. Now, for me, if I was personally picking a centre-back, I would probably pick Paolo Maldini's 92 card. If we're talking about icon centre-backs that are available right now, I would personally probably pick Paolo Maldini. But this Puyol card, I think, is quite close to being on a par with that Maldini, and some people may suggest it's better, but 5'10" is maybe a little bit too short for a centre-back, you know. But you look at his interceptions, 95 interceptions, 95 stand tackle, 93 defensive awareness, and again that strength, that 92 strength. He's so strong one-on-one. He's really powerful in the air, despite being only 5'10". He's got incredible positions. His interceptions are incredible. Again, he does have quite low agility and balance, and he doesn't have rapid pace. You know, he doesn't feel, you know, if you've ever used like this Puyol card, you know, maybe you've tried it out in draft, for example, he doesn't feel rapid. Even with a shadow on him, he doesn't feel rapid. And I think that's because his agility and balance is very low. You know, there's a difference between agility and balance being low and it being really low. I think if they're really low, even if you up their pace, they're still going to feel slow. But for this Puyol card, if the ball is in front of him, he is just impossible to get past. If the ball gets behind him, that's maybe when you can exploit him. Maybe that's where someone like Paolo Maldini will be a little bit better. He's a bit quicker, but what he has extra in pace, he doesn't have in strength compared to Puyol. And obviously with that Maldini card, his composure and his reaction, I think his composure is 97 and his reactions are like 95, which is mind-blowing. But this Puyol card, I actually think for 600,000 coins, for half the price of that Maldini, you know, this Puyol card is the same price, for example, as Virgil van Dijk. So if you wanted to have an icon, you could go for this Carlos Puyol card, because I think he's absolutely brilliant this year in the game. But that is it, guys, for our most meta centre-backs. Now, there were a few people that we did leave off the list. I think most notably for me, it was probably someone like Manolas, who is very, very similar, I think, to someone like Raphael Varane. If you can't afford someone like Varane, try and go for someone like Manolas. The only reason Manolas, for example, wasn't in this list, I think he's a little bit too hard to link up into people's teams. It's not that he's not as good a player as someone like Varane or some other players. He's just a little bit difficult to link into teams. Someone like Davinson Sanchez, again, if you want someone a little bit cheaper, is an incredible centre-back to try out as well. But that is it for our top 5 most meta centre-backs this year in FIFA 20, guys. So if you do want to see more, make sure you drop a thumbs up. Let me know in the comment section any other centre-backs that you think should have made this list. Make sure you hit the subscribe button as well if you're new to the channel. And that's all today, guys. Have an awesome day. I'm out.